So are you married? Do you have kids? What's your
Free as a bird at the moment, but
really?
open.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
If
I
you know
like to
someone.
match make.
Really? Oh my God,
I
you're
love
like they
it.
cast you for the wrong character in Mulan. Hi.
Hi, Olivia. So tell me, how did this come about?
Oh, you know what? They just called me and they said, "Do you want to have a conversation with Rosalind Chao?" And I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I'd love to meet Rosalind."
Aw.
Yeah,
Well, we have a lot of
congratulations
people in
on
common, I think, from Warrior, right?
Chen Tang.
Yes.
I met Tai Ma in Vancouver. We've never worked together, but
Right.
who
And
doesn't
you're
know Tai
from
Ma? And
Canada, yeah?
I'm from Vancouver. Well, originally I'm from a place called Edmonton. And
Yeah.
then when I wanted to move into acting, I packed everything I could into my car and I just drove to Vancouver and I never looked back.
Wow, that was brave. What propelled you to do that?
At the time, it's funny because there was something in your story that reminded me of this period in my life that I wanted to ask you about. But to answer your question, I was a broadcast journalist at the time for
Right,
Global Television.
right.
And, I'd gotten into it really young when I was like 19.
Same.
And yeah, and every year there would inevitably be this like movie of the week that needed Edmonton to stand in for some like Midwestern Christmas town.
Right.
So I would be an extra like once a year and I would just like soak it all in. And sometimes I would get a line or two, And one year, AMC, they came to Alberta with a project called Broken Trail. It was their first stab
Oh
at,
yeah, Robert Duvall.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I worked
right.
with him before on in my first TV movie.
You're kidding.
No, we went out to, oh, I have a very funny story about him. But yes, I called him my babysitter when we were shooting in Vancouver.
Was it a Western as well, by chance?
No, it was the true story of Terry Fox, who was,
Okay.
well, you know who Terry Fox is, right?
Yes.
He's a Canadian hero.
Yeah.
And I played his girlfriend, and I can't remember what um, Robert Duvall played. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah. It's fine. Bobby's good.
He was
Yeah,
very
he's
nice,
good.
though. I called him my
Yeah.
babysitter because there were times, because he was a big star, he was invited places, and he would always say, and I would tell him, please don't do this anymore. But he'd always say, well, what about Rosalind? I mean, I think you should include Oh, and
That's so
I
sweet.
know he was so sweet, but at the time, I mean, I was still a teenager, so to me, it was like the embarrassing dad. And I kept saying, "Oh God, can you not do that anymore? Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
God!" So Broken Trail came to to
Oh, yeah.
Vancouver,
It came to Calgary.
Edmonton, right?
Yeah, it came actually to Calgary, which was a city 3 hours away from me.
Right,
And Calgary is kind of known in the film industry as like the Texas of the North because we stand in
right,
for so many Westerns, Lonesome
right,
Dove, Broken Trail, Damnation. And I was already feeling pretty lost at work. Like
right.
I was doing really well, everything on paper looked good. I was a little media wonder kid, but I just felt like, is this it for me? Because, with
Right.
local news, you go on a cycle. And the most exciting story for me that year had been a badger that was caught in a bush, and it was like the most entertaining thing watching animal control try to like get a loop around its neck. And apparently those things are pretty ferocious. And I was
That's
like,
hilarious.
is this it? Like me being like, we got a badger in the bush, guys. So Broken Trail came, and I heard they were looking for 5 Chinese actresses, and I called in sick at work. I drove up. First, one role went to someone out of LA, and I thought, oh, okay, like, because I had no acting experience other than being an extra and like tossing out a line or two,
Right.
But after 3 weeks of this, I got called by Walter Hill, the director, and he said, listen, like, we want you for this one part. And I remember at the time it was so frightening for me because I actually think there's something scary when something you want deep down is actually being given to you.
Oh, that's true.
You know, like in a way, I was really interested in your story because I was like, oh my God, your parents encouraged you to be an actor, and they really
Well,
encouraged. No,
not really.
okay,
That's
not
how I
really.
ended up in journalism. Yeah, I mean, to start out with, until it started to take form, and things kept coming, then it was, as long as it didn't interfere with school or, so I had to do it on my school breaks. It kept coming back, but I will tell you, journalism would have been a much easier path. I mean, you probably experienced the same thing, but offers just land on your doorstep. And even once I was acting, it doesn't fill me.
Do you
Maybe
think
now it would, but
yeah,
back then it didn't.
there's so many parallels already between what I'm hearing from your story and mine, and I don't know if that's why they paired us together. You know,
I don't
those
know.
those
I'm
those
very
those clever,
curious.
you know, character media
Yeah.
matchmakers. But do you think that opportunities came to both of us in the media world? Do you think because to a degree, maybe that's where people were a little more used to or
That's
comfortable
it.
with seeing Asian
Yeah.
faces on television?
Yeah, because Connie Chung had broken ground really for Asian Americans, and in Los Angeles there was somebody who was very popular called Trisha Toyota, and there were a lot of really popular when I was growing up as a little kid. That's who I saw on TV was Asian American broadcasters and journalists. So, and Connie Chung was and still is a goddess. So, and then were your parents immigrants or were you?
My parents and grandparents were immigrants. My mother's side was from a region in China, and this is stuff that I've like pieced together. This is
Right.
not stuff that even now I feel like my parents are particularly open about sharing.
Yeah, I think culturally, my parents were the same. They're like, "Oh, don't talk about it. It's awful. Don't talk about it." They're very much.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like my grandma, you know, the last 4 years of her life were so hard because sorry, I called it like elderly foster care, you know what I mean?
Right.
Where she had a stroke and but the last 4 years when I knew, sorry.
That's okay.
I kept trying to ask her like I kept trying to ask her stories, you know, and she would just say like I don't know or I don't remember. And I knew she was lying. I knew she was
Right.
lying, you
Yeah. But
know,
it's too
and
hard for them culturally. It's not. It's. I guess it's not. I guess that's how they got through it was by moving forward.
yeah.
Um,
And I think they didn't want to burden us.
Yeah, I think that too. They've learned so much about how to control what comes out of their mouth
Mm.
because of, I don't know, did they come over before they came over after the Cultural Revolution or
Yes. So
yeah,
my mother's side fled China for Hong Kong because of the Cultural Revolution.
right. And do you get has it lived up to your dreams being an actor? What do you find the best part of it and what do you find the, disappointing
Mm.
part of it?
Look, I got a little deep and emotional and vulnerable, which I feel like I've been doing in so many of my interviews lately. I think it's just such a time, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, emotions just coming up a lot. So let's start with the best.
You haven't seen Marathi yet, have you?
Oh, no. What is,
Oh, just wait till you see it. I mean, because I was a mess all day yesterday. I saw it the day before yesterday, and
why does that sound familiar? Which film
Stephen
is that again?
Yuan is starring in it, and you'll
Oh,
hear a lot about it.
okay.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been on the brink of. So I feel you.
Yeah. Thank you. But I mean, listen, I'm in Toronto right now
Oh, lucky.
shooting something. And I mean, I think in certain ways, my acting career has exceeded what I thought was possible.
Oh, good.
And at the same time, I see others rising and getting these amazing opportunities, which totally inspires me to, I mean, like you in Mulan and all our mutual friends in you know, a big studio budget picture. I mean, congratulations, you know,
Oh, you're
like
sweet.
things like that make me go, wow, like what else is possible? Because I remember all the little kids in my neighborhood calling me Mulan, you know, which, yeah, it was a little annoying. But my point is who would have known that fast forward in my life, not only would it become a live action picture, but that I would actually know friends in it.
Oh, that's
You know
true.
what I mean? Like, that's
true.
what I mean. Like, and I appreciate those gifts of, this is not really a word, but gifts of wowness.
Yeah.
You know, and that trippiness of like, you know, that's Ron, that's Chen, that's Tai, that's, you know.
Oh, so you know everyone. Are they all in Warrior?
No, Ron and I were in Marco Polo, and he is like my big brother from another mother. He's such a good man, and I'm so proud of him. And
yeah, they're all, I mean, and Chen is very pure of heart, and you know, he's a really good person as well. They're all, I mean, they're lovely. And was it just you and all guys in Warrior?
Thankfully, I had Diane Doan, who is a Vietnamese American or Vietnamese Canadian actress. She's living in America now, but she's become like a sister from another mister to me. And we had Joanna Vanderham. We shot in Cape Town. We shot in Cape Town, South Africa. Yeah. So because of Marco Polo, it was amazing. I mean, I think it spoiled me because my first jobs outside of being a Canadian service industry actor for American shows were Marco Polo and then Warrior. And because they're both period pieces and we had the same line producer, he was very savvy about moving us to locations where the US dollar would go a very, very, very long way because we had to build and construct sets from scratch. And we had these huge construction teams. We had villages creating the world of Marco Polo. And he's probably saved millions by transporting us over to, you know, Johor Bahru, Malaysia, or Cape Town, South Africa. So we recreated San Francisco 1878 in 2017, Cape Town, South Africa.
Wow. So it sounds like you haven't had to do cheesy jobs.
Yes, I have.
You know, decent.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Have you?
Oh my God. Yes. I think, like, I still consider myself a working actor. You know what I mean? I, you know, and I'm very thankful for it. If you look at my resume before Marco Polo and even a little bit after Marco Polo, you know, I think people have this perception that when they read the highlight reel of your bio or your career, it sounds great, but they don't know all the dips in between and everything leading up to Marco Polo. I mean, for 8 years, I you know, worked my way up in Vancouver, and we have a lot of Hallmark, you know, we, if you're lucky.
Those are very hot right now.
Right?
I know loves watching them now.
Yeah. I
have a friend who's writing one, you know, as we speak.
One that from the Asian lens, or?
No, she's writing, what is she writing? I think it's a holiday one.
Okay.
And they even sell socks that say, "Don't bother me, I'm watching Hallmark." And I was going to get her the socks, and she said, 3 people have already gotten it for me. I don't need another pair.
I'm over it. Smoke a cigar.
I know, right?
You know, to circle back to what you asked before in terms of what's been great, it's that I have a list of so many favorite people. You know, Benedict Wong is one. I've worked with him twice now.
I love his work. I mean, I was in England working, and I'm telling you, he was he's like a god there, you know. I mean, Benedict Wong is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is the guy.
He is so
and he can
free.
do everything.
Yep.
Is he lovely to work with?
He's lovely. He is. I can't say enough good things about Benny. Like, he took scenes in Marco Polo that I thought would be read one way, and he just brought so much humanity, and he found these moments of humor. He just breathed so much life into it. Like, I would go watch his scenes whenever I could, because we had such a big ensemble cast, and you know, it was like my first big show. It was my first show that I was a regular on. So if I wasn't training, because we were all on one studio lot, it was really easy to pop over to each other's scenes. And because we were all friends, you felt really comfortable just popping in to say hi. So whenever I could, I would watch Benny. And I remember learning from him, you know, he's like, I think he said something, I don't know if he was quoting someone, but he said something to us about, you know, no actor can play a king. It's the actors around you that help you become a king. And he, on that particular day, was working with the extras so that he would just like take a sip and not even look, and just like put his and have an extra scurry in to take the cup.
Right,
So,
right. That's his
right, to
theater
show
background too.
Yeah, like to show
That's,
those
I mean,
little.
Yeah. So, what's your next dream? What are you working on now?
I'm working on a show that I can't announce yet, because I'm like, come on, when's the casting announcement coming out? Like, you know, so I'm working on a new show out here. And I would love to break into feature films.
Wait, I felt like you had already.
I did an indie. I did an indie earlier this summer, which I was, you know what? I had so much fun.
Favorite.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
To me, that feels like you're, you know, kind of a theater company, and everybody's working, not for their own glorification. It feels like everybody's working together to make the best product. You know, I mean, I always feel that way. Like, I always I'm hoping that the director gets his or her dream. That's my job as an actor, and to maybe hopefully make it better than they even imagined it could be. But on an indie film, it feels even more so that everybody's, because we're not doing it for money, really. I mean,
nope, definitely not.
You know, well, big budget, maybe not either. But you know, it's really, to me, my favorite. So you've already broken into feature film then.
You know what? Touche. All right. Maybe I'll say too, I would love to do more comedy.
Yeah, it's fun.
You know, which I feel like is like
That's
so cliche or dramatic. Yeah, but all I watch is comedy. Like
it's
I get
all
cast
acting,
in such,
you know.
Yeah.
And so I'll never understand why somebody says, "Oh, you know." I mean, after Joy Luck Club, it was well, actually, that's not true. I was just I did get asked to do a couple sitcoms after that, but I had a small baby, so at the time I did not want to do a series. But overall, if you know, if you're a crier, if you can cry, then suddenly that's all anybody wants you to do until they see you do the other thing. You know, it's challenging because acting is acting. I mean, you know, so tell me, so since you're on the job training, I mean, how does that work? Because you have to have a certain bravery to be able to, you know, be front-footed and just show up on a set, and you know, you have to be.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And listen, Broken Trail was an example of being trained on the job by the best, because he would play little games with me that I now understand. He was using mantras. He was using, you know, playing the opposite.
Did that make you feel like you entered a set differently?
It did, because it was interesting. Whatever natural talent and raw, you know, whatever raw charisma I had that got me cast, I didn't trust it I didn't, and to tell you the truth, I think why I could do it for Broken Trail was because all my lines were in Mandarin.
Oh,
And it
are
dropped
you
me
fluent
into,
in Mandarin?
I'm not fluent in Mandarin. Do you speak? 我
I
我可以
speak,
讲，
but 可以，
我可以
可是
讲。
yeah，我的是美国人的
啊，
国语。
我懂，我懂。对，我是小的时候参加一个中英双语的学校，可是没有什么
哦，
没有什么机会练我的国语，所以
对
我讲的时候，我可以听到自己的，我知道我讲的时候不标准。
yes, same.
You know what I
But
mean?
if
Like,
I'm around it a lot, then it
yes,
switches.
yes.
I'm married to an Englishman. You know, my kids don't speak anymore. My daughter did speak when she was little. So are you married? Do you have kids? Or you're free form? You're free as a bird.
Free as a bird at the moment, but open.
Really? Oh, maybe
Yeah. If
I
you know
like to
someone,
match make.
really, oh my
I
God, you're
love
like they
it.
cast you for the wrong character in Mulan.
I know,
Let's
right?
live this out.
Actually,
Yeah.
she was, Chen
Oh,
Pei Pei
Chen Pei
was
Pei.
my
Yeah.
Chinese dance teacher when I was a little girl. So it was ironic that she's the one who's getting mad at me in the movie. And there was actually another thing at the end of the movie where I get to yell at her.
Yeah.
But that didn't end up, I don't think that ended up in the movie. Yeah, she was actually quite the mentor.
Yeah.
And we lost contact after, when I was going to go to college, she called me and said, her mentor, King Wu, he used to sit in on my lessons sometimes, and he wanted to direct a movie with her and me in Hong Kong. And I was like, no, I've got a term paper, and I just was not into it. And I think a couple of times she had called me and said, Roz, you should do this, this, this. And I never listened to her because I didn't know if I was going to be an actor. I didn't want to. I
So
knew
when did
once.
you know? When did you know?
I still don't know. Sometimes I still think, oh, every once in a while I'll do a movie or something where I'll think, oh my gosh, I love acting. What I don't love is that you just don't have any, unless it's theater, you don't have any power over the end result. And sometimes that can be disappointing, which is why I don't watch my movies. But sometimes I have to see it in ADR. And sometimes when I see it in ADR, I think, oh God. So, yeah, I always think, oh gosh, maybe I should do this or I should do that. I love acting, but I'm always flirting with other ideas. But this is the thing that seems to be that keeps boomeranging back to me. I do love it when it's a good gig and you're working with good people and a good script. There's nothing like it. It's always just before doing a job that I think, oh, do I really, before I get hired for one or when we're negotiating, I always hesitate, like, oh, do I really want to enter this? Again, it's so much, you put so much of yourself into something, but then once a deal's closed and I'm committed to it, then I'm all in and I love nothing more. It's just sometimes when I'm not working, I think, I'm not sure about this. So Warrior, it's streaming now, right?
It's streaming as we speak. After it airs on Cinemax, we'll be moving to HBO Max, I believe early 2021.
So are you getting recognized from?
I think sometimes, but as Atoy, I have such crazy hair and makeup,
right,
that no one actually really recognizes me.
Because it has a huge following, Warrior, doesn't it?
I'm not sure because we're on Cinemax right now, and I think there is definitely like a dedicated legion of Bruce Lee fans that are gonna find that show Hell or High Water. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when it moves on to a more accessible streaming platform like HBO Max to be discovered. And I mean, we are all shamelessly, blatantly saying we want we want to keep going, all of us.
So you would do another season?
Absolutely, in a heartbeat.
When will you find out?
I think we're hoping we do well on HBO Max for the powers that be to go, we have something
I
here.
love Chen. I'm seeing Chen's Instagram posts, and I love his long hair in this. He's a totally different person.
Well, and it was like that coming from Mulan. Yeah. Yeah. They just, wait. So so he finished Mulan, and then he went on vacation. And while he was on vacation, he got the audition for Warrior. And then he basically booked it before he even got home. And so
that's right. I actually remember. I actually saw him the night before he left, because there was a birthday party or something at, a Mulan party. Oh, you know what? I remember Yosan was visiting. So they had a little gathering, and Chen, I think, was about to leave or something. Oh no, wait, what happened? No, Chen, I think he had just booked it. I'm not sure. My timeline's a little screwed up, but I just remember everybody was very excited for him. Couldn't happen to a nicer person. He's such a good boy too. He's a nice guy. He really
I can see the qualities that made you perfect as Mulan's mother in the movie. Like just the maternal, the maternal, the compassion, the warmth. I mean,
in real life, I'll tell you, I am not that tough with my daughter. I probably should be.
Yeah.
But no, she's, but I understand that parenting. Let's put it that way. I understand, because in that world, she just wanted her daughter. You always want your kids to do better than you do. You want them to be happier, more success. I mean, not that I'm not happy. You just want them to be one step further wherever you are.
Of course, I get that.
For Mulan's mom, that's kind of where I put myself, that she just, wants the best for her daughter, and with a very limited imagination. I feel for acting, empathy is the most important thing. So I couldn't judge her. She might have felt squelched. It seemed like she had a very strong spirit in the original script. That's the limit. This is how you proceed. If you want to get further and marry well, you have to squelch yourself a little bit. So, but I don't really believe that, because I've always told my daughter, do not let your light shine. Do not be afraid of being different. Different is good. Do not follow the pack.
Oh, it's amazing.
So I've been the opposite.
Yeah. Well, how has it been since the movie came out for you? And sometimes I think as actors, we're so excited for something to come out, and maybe there's always a little bit of us that hopes it might open more doors or lead to new opportunities.
I never do. To be honest, I never, ever, nope. I just never, I don't go there.
Yeah.
Not my, and it freaks me out if other people say stuff about it, to the extent that sometimes I think maybe I can be a little rude, that if somebody says, well, this is I'm always like, it's a,
shut it.
So, so I don't like to go there. I mean, I feel bad that more people didn't get to see it in the movie theater, just because so much effort went into making it that grand scale that it is. And this was so many people's first break, so for the boys' sake, I wish more people had seen it on the big screen. It's just on the big screen. It was quite beautiful. The cinematography was amazing.
Just so you know, a group of us organized a private screening in Vancouver. So I did get to see it on the big screen. We bought
the Asian Americans are much more, okay, so now Asian Americans are much more together and organized and supportive of each other's work, which is why I think we are going to go further faster now.
Did you find that was not the case at a point?
No, it wasn't the case before. And it was harder too, because there was, we didn't have social media. And I think there was such a small piece of the pie that people were more individualistic back then. And that was kind of surprising and disappointing a little bit. Whereas now, I don't know. I'm really optimistic. I think everybody's out there rooting for each other. I mean, I'm telling you, when you see this, that, you know, they just had this screening for this movie that Stephen Yuan did, and he's the lead of it. The film's called Minari, and the acting is just, you know, these actors were just phenomenal. You know, there's a lady who plays the grandma that I so want to grow up to be like her. She's just so free, and you know, it's a real lesson in filmmaking and in acting, I think. And I'm learning from other um, Asian Americans. We're always learning, you know, but it's so cool to be able to learn from um, our brethren, you know.
What do you mean when you say free? Like, I think I know what you
Oh,
mean, but just to
she's
really,
not vain. You know, I hate when you can almost see the mirror's just been taken away from an actor. You know how some people check themselves beforehand. And I'm always like, if I'm working with somebody and the last thing they do is check themselves in the mirror, I always think, oh, for God's sakes. But I don't say it, but I think it.
right.
And there was nothing vain about their performances. That she was not afraid to be, she was just there. She was so present. And they all were. And Stephen Yuan too, they were not afraid to be um, true to the character. They didn't care about um, how, you know, that movie star thing that some people try to do. They try and project an image in their mind. They didn't do that. They were not outside of themselves. They were very true to their character, and
Real
just,
deal artists.
they really are. I mean, I can't wait for everyone to see it. It sounds like I'm promoting another movie that I'm not in the movie, but I'm just saying there's so many. You know, it's exciting that there's a lot of projects that Asian Americans are in, and it's exciting that we're promoting each other. You know, it's exciting that you guys had a screening of Mulan. Because that's the thing. I didn't. I think a lot of people were kind of. Some were very welcoming about the movie, but not all.
I didn't realize that till after, because I tweeted something because I was just excited because, you know, I've got 4 friends in it. And then I checked my Twitter, I think the day after, and someone very respectfully asked me about, how do you feel about the whole, I'm assuming you're
Yeah,
referencing the
we didn't
boycott
even know.
Mulan
Yeah, we
thing.
didn't even
Like,
know.
oh,
So
I
many
think,
people worked so hard on that movie. And,
yeah,
you know, we had no idea about where they filmed, where they did location scouting and the second unit stuff. I mean, I was clueless. I just knew that when they said they were shooting in New Zealand, I knew that, you know, that sounded amazing. But we were not told that wasn't even on our call sheets that they had done that. So there were so many people who had nothing to do with certain decisions that were
yeah.
made that, you know, understandably people are upset about. And we, you know, we just had, and they're not, all their hard work, you know, those boys, they were out there for 6 months, and their training was beyond. I
Yeah.
mean, Ron couldn't even, I shouldn't laugh, but I used to make fun of him walking up the hill to our hotel because they couldn't even walk
Was
after.
he like,
Yeah.
and then he stopped for a selfie, like,
Yeah.
got the Ron Yuan
Always,
face.
he's always like, and he has the best teeth. I was teasing him all the time. Like, you have the best teeth. Just
Yeah.
show them. They're great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's that was very inspiring that you guys supported us. Because I felt like, you know, we came out for all the movies that came out when we were in New Zealand, and we felt like, you know, it's nice to have that kind of support.
Yeah, look, absolutely. It's like, one, thank you for, you know, speaking candidly about that, because, you know, it's always that thing where it's like, that's how I felt about the whole thing. Like when I started to understand what was going on out there beyond the celebration for my friends, I just felt like, because it's complicated, you know,
Yeah,
and
we never know what somebody else's situation is, you know.
yeah, and there were like political things, there were cultural identity things, there was the, you know, the vastness of an Asian diaspora. There was just like I said, it's a whole other thing to unpack. And at the very, very root of it, though, I mean, you know, just from one artist to another artist, you know, I was so happy for all of you to get to be in something. You know, I don't think anything can take away from just how monumental an investment it was. Like whatever the corporate reasons were, you know, it was
Well, I
something
keep thinking
that,
about all the young girls who, you know, can see themselves reflected on screen. And that is, I mean, I don't
can't
know,
take
when you
that
were
away. Yeah.
younger, when I was younger, oh, we didn't see that didn't exist. We didn't have,
Mhm.
you know, a Disney superhero, and we didn't have a real live. You know, this is different because it's a real live person. You know, it's not animated. It's not, you know, people said, well, there's, you know, an Asian kid in Up. There's an Asian kid. Yeah, but it's important to have a real life person
Yeah.
too. And the fact that she's, you know, a warrior, and it has a lot of messages. And Gong Li, I thought, was phenomenal. You know,
Hmm.
I think it did a lot of good. I've had messages from, you know, people from all over who have said that it inspired. Like one girl was taking a test for her naval academy or something in another country. I won't say the country. And she said she watched it beforehand and it inspired her, seeing somebody who looked like her, beating all odds, you know, being one of the few women. And it inspired her. So I think even if you can do that for one person, it's valuable.
Hey, that's worth so much, right? I
Right.
mean, it's, do you ever think about how as actors we don't really know what effects we might be having on generations coming up, or people who see us that we may never meet or hear from? Because most of the time, whatever feedback loop we get are from, you know, professional critics, professional trolls.
I don't read any of that stuff. Don't read reviews. And I
I
also feel like if you have to, if I believe the good ones, then I'm going to have to believe the bad ones too. So it's a lose-lose. If somebody says something mean about me, I believe that very easily
fair,
and can't
fair,
get it
fair,
out of my head.
fair.
So,
It's totally fair.
yeah, I can't
Yeah.
wait to hear what you're doing and how it's going, and, you know, wishing you lots of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't
I
know.
love how game you are, that you just went, you know, you just go for things. And I think that's wonderful.
That is so sweet. Thank you. Listen, enthusiasm is my superpower. Sometimes it gets me in
Yay.
trouble.
That's a good one to have.
I appreciate it. And like all the best. I hope we get to work on
Same to you.
something, you
Yeah, that
know?
would be brilliant.
Yeah, I hope we cross paths in person after this
Me
whole
too.
pandemic mess is
Me
over.
too. I want to see you without a mask someday.
Yes. Yes. I would like that. I would like
All
that.
right. Lots of love.
Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.